joining us. So we've got 4 really great panelists talking about how they're utilizing social media at a really high level to engage with their clients. So I figured what we'd start out doing is have all 4 of you kind of go through and just give a little bit of background information on you and your business, how long you've been in real estate, and maybe even talk about what platforms you utilize first, what's really working for you, like what's your kind of in general, what your process is when it comes to social media. Like, do you create a content calendar? How often do you post a day? Just kind of the basics when it comes to social media. So Jessica, you're first on my screen. So I'll have you go first, Jessica.
Hi. So I've been in real estate for almost 9 years. I think in like 2020, I really started utilizing social media heavily. Before that, I just had like a business Facebook page and would post on it randomly, and I had no organization or it didn't make any sense. But I think it was 2020 that I decided to like really create my branding, and I created a Instagram business page. I started networking with people in the area and other realtors across the United States, and really just went very hard into Instagram, and it's been great for me.
Awesome. Very cool. Bridget, why don't you go next?
Hi, everyone. I'm Bridget Tighe. I have been in business about 2.5 years, and I would say I really built the bulk of my business through Instagram. I think, before I started, I had a pretty decent following of just my sphere, and I use it as a way for people to like not only connect with me as a realtor, but kind of who I am as a person and my family. And I do try to keep it almost like 80% personal and 20% the real estate side of things, because I'm a big believer that people want to do business with people that they like, and the more that they can get to know me and the type of person I am, the real estate stuff can kind of be like peppered in there just as another like reminder that I'm a realtor. But I try to keep it mostly personal. And then also I was in recruiting for 5 years before I became a realtor. And so I used to live in LinkedIn. And I would say, I think we all know Instagram, Facebook are big social media outlets in this business, but I would not sleep on LinkedIn, because there are no realtors on LinkedIn as much is like one thing I notice. And I feel like I can connect with a lot of people on LinkedIn as well. For example, I like put a poll one day, do you think white kitchens will always be in or something? And it was like, yes or no. And it said I had like 5,000 views, like not obviously 5,000 people voted. I did get like, maybe a couple hundred votes, because people are bored on LinkedIn at their corporate jobs from 8 to 5, and they love to click on those things. But I think the big thing is just getting those views. And like the more I post things like that on LinkedIn, the more people that are seeing and being reminded that I'm a realtor. So those are kind of my main social media outlets.
Perfect. Thanks, Bridget. Christy, how about you?
So I got licensed in 2020. So I've been doing real estate since then, first with another brokerage and then with KW. I was very resistant to the whole social media thing. I hated taking videos. I started out just with my own personal Facebook page, doing, just posting on my own personal Facebook page about, things that were going on in real estate. Then I made a separate business page on Facebook, started to post on there just, but no videos, just kind of information and statistics, stuff like that. But then I got on TikTok and I started making TikTok videos, and I just kind of made it a discipline, especially starting about last fall when things started to slow down again. I was just like, I'm just doing this, at least 3 times a week. And then, I made the TikToks, and then I would share them from my business page, and then I would share it from my business page onto my personal page. And that has really gotten me the best engagement. I feel like people, for some reason, engage just more with my videos than they do with anything that I post just still on. I did make an Instagram, but I also found that that was too overwhelming for me personally, like doing Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I wasn't paying attention to everything the way I should. And I don't personally engage a lot on Instagram. So I was like, okay, I just kind of ignore that now. And I just focus mainly on TikTok and Facebook. Like I said, I post around 3 times in a week, sometimes more. I also find that I get the most engagement. I agree with you, Bridget, when I talk about like something personally that happened to me in real estate, or like a funny story. I also do talk a lot about, like, I did a whole series going through contracts, like, all right, a 6-part series of like walking you through the offer to purchase and, things like that. I found a lot of people didn't really comment on, but I got a lot of people watching. So it's kind of a newer thing for me, just because I really wasn't disciplined about it until last fall. But I'm seeing, I'm making a lot of connections on TikTok with like other people in the business, like inspectors and appraisers and things like that, that is really interesting and informative for me to watch too. So that's just kind of been my experience with it.
Great. Yeah, I love hearing kind of the different platforms that everyone is using and having different success on different platforms. So that's great. Thanks for sharing. And finally, AJ.
Hello, my name is AJ, and I've been in the business for about a year now. And I run most of the social media stuff for the Schmidt Group. And mainly our main platforms are mostly just Instagram and Facebook. And I think our kind of idea behind what we do and how we find success is just to stay in front of people and kind of connect with the community. So we have, obviously, I've made a social media calendar. We try to post like 3 or 4 times a week, just kind of stuff to keep in front of them, get people engaging. So we do a lot of like this or that or buyer tips. And we ask people to comment to say, which one would you choose, comment in the below or things like that. We do a lot of giveaways too. And with those giveaways, we try to implement something where people are like, for Mother's Day, for example, we did something where it was like, tag your mom in the comments or share this post to get entered. That way people aren't just liking it, they're sharing it. And then you reach a more like a bigger audience. So we found a lot of success with that, just kind of getting our page to grow a little bit more. And then we also do a lot of coming soon, just listed. And I've actually found with what I've been doing that the coming soons are almost the posts that kind of do the best for us, just because it kind of builds the hype. We tend to post those right when that listing goes into delayed, and it gets the hype around it. And we've seen some of our best results as far as like post engagement and post reach have been the coming soons. But yeah, we're implementing videos a little bit. We have noticed I'm not a big video person. So it's something that we're trying to branch out again, get into more. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of where we found our success, is just staying in front of people and kind of engaging in the community and adding value to the people.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, AJ. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask everybody is, and I think Kathleen and I get this question a lot, especially with new agents just getting into real estate and kind of the start of developing their social media platforms. What are your thoughts on a business page versus a personal page? I know a lot of you kind of already touched on, posting something to your business page, sharing it to your personal page. What are your thoughts on that? How do you have your social media account set up? Do you have a separate business page and a separate Instagram business page, or do you just have the Facebook business page and do you utilize Instagram, your personal page, just for everything? Jessica, why don't you go first? How do you have everything set up?
So I don't like to combine my personal page with my business page, mostly because I just don't want my children's faces on like a public platform. But that's a personal choice. So what I do is I post to my Instagram business page, and that feeds automatically into my Facebook business page. So whatever goes on one goes on the other. And I don't have to do anything extra for it. It just automatically loops. And then what I do is I take that post and I also share it onto my personal. So they're still getting my postings on my personal pages, but they're not getting my stories or anything like that. And anyone who's ever really been interested will just go ahead and follow my business page. And if they want to like see my stories, or they'll click on my post and see my stories that day. I also don't want to overwhelm my personal followers on my personal page. I'm not from Wisconsin, I'm from New York. So a lot of them don't really care about real estate in Milwaukee. So it kind of allows that little separation, but they still see and know that I am an active realtor. And I use LinkedIn too sometimes, not as often as I should, but I don't touch TikTok. And so it's too much.
Yeah, I think kind of the overwhelming thoughts and opinions that I get is just kind of really focusing in on one or two platforms, 3 at the most, I would say, because again, you don't want to overwhelm yourself, and you really want to connect with the followers that you have on those platforms. Christy, how about you? How do you manage it between business and personal?
I do very similar to Jessica, where I have my Facebook pages are separate, and for the very same kind of similar reasons. A, I don't want to overwhelm people, and B, I do still post a lot on my personal Facebook page, my children and my life. So I do exactly what she does, where the original post on Facebook is through my business page, and then it is shared onto my personal page. My TikTok is strictly real estate, so that's just like my real estate account. So I don't cross share anything, although I do share all my TikToks onto my business page and onto my personal page. I feel like, if it is something that somebody can just kind of scroll by. And I know at least on Facebook, there's so many people who have like side gigs that they're posting on. I don't feel too worried that I'm clogging up anybody's feed too much, especially because I only post, maybe tops 4 or 5 times a week. So I just feel like people that don't, I think the biggest mistake is I think you get intimidated when you see other people's social media accounts, and you feel like you need to have like all your crap together before you're going to start to do this, or like you need to make it all, and I think the biggest thing is to just start doing it. And then like it grows naturally, organically. But if you start to like stalk other people's pages and think like, oh, she does this, it's so perfect, I have to make sure that I have the whole setup, and I think that's the biggest stumbling block, is that you just really need to start, whichever platforms you decide to use.
That's really great advice for anyone on here who is brand new to just using social media as, a piece of, advertising your business or listings or whatever. It's just like Christy said, just start. That's great advice.
Can I chime into that? Sorry. I like imposter syndrome is so real, but guess what? Most of your followers do not follow other realtors. So whatever you're posting, just do it, and they won't know the difference.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thanks, Jessica. Bridget, how do you manage personal and business?
I do like to have my Facebook business page, because I really try to push my clients to leave a review there. I think Facebook business pages are important because they're almost bigger than like websites these days. People want to see the reviews and the posts, and I feel like I can overshare real estate stuff because that is my business page. So I do have one of those that I can always, share to my personal Facebook as well. But I do just have my Instagram personal, because I felt like I already have so many followers. I didn't want to start a new Instagram because I knew I wouldn't be able to get everyone over. So I decided that I would just do the Facebook business page.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people too will have a business page on Facebook because you can get those reviews. Like you can't get that from a personal page. You can't do ad campaigns. You can't schedule posts. And so there's benefits to having that business page versus strictly a personal page, specifically for Facebook. Okay, AJ.
Yeah, so I think we do a lot of the same things as everyone else, where we have two separate pages, business and personal. We have a business account on Instagram and Facebook. That way they just kind of go to both. I know personally I don't post a lot of personal stuff on Facebook. I'm more kind of Instagram for my personal account, and that's kind of how people connect with me more personally. But I tend to share more of the success that we've had, the coming soons, the just listed, maybe the accepted offer posts that we do. I tend to share more of those onto my personal. A lot of the other posts kind of just the posts to get in front of people, the this or that's or anything like that. I don't tend to post those on my personal. It's more just kind of the success that we have found. That way people who have my personal are seeing that success. And then I've seen that a lot of people, will reach out and say, you're doing well, or they're seeing, the posts that I guess like matter in a sense. But yeah, we do a lot of the same thing, just kind of having two separate, and then we share everything onto our personal pages to obviously spread the word and reach more people. But then again, like you said, the reviews, and like the hours and the time of response, I know is a big thing on if someone messages you on Facebook, it's the typically responds within an hour or something like that. So we try to make sure that that's all in a line. That way it looks a little better when people go to our pages, rather than just being a little more professional, I guess, than rather than just being a personal page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So a few people have kind of talked through certain posts that they've done. Is there specific content that you post? I know AJ, you mentioned like the coming soons. You usually get more engagement, interaction from your followers. But is there anything else in terms of content that you have posted in the past that you've gotten really great engagement? Christy, I'll start with you.
Like I said, I've gotten really great engagement with, like, I get a lot of views on like more of the dry real estate stuff, but I feel like especially on TikTok, if I do like a really like numbers talking through some number situation or something, it's mostly other agents that are like commenting on them. But when I tell like a personal story that happened, or like I share a picture of some crazy thing that I saw in a showing or things like that, I feel like that's more of like where my personal relationships will, if they find that really interesting, kind of like the day in the life kind of thing that I think they sometimes wonder about. So I've had really good engagement with those kind of posts.
Okay. Jessica, what about you? Anything specific that you've posted that you've gotten really good engagement, whether it's people commenting or people actually like reaching out to you about?
So I also, like, on my stagnant post, I don't get a lot of people commenting on them, but they do, like, when they see me, say like, oh, I saw that post about like the market or about, I don't know, the buying process or whatever. And, I have a question or something, or I liked it. So they're seeing it. They're just not really like interacting and commenting. I definitely get more comments on like funny reels, which I've been slacking on. Or like behind the sold sign, I always do after I sell a property, instead of just posting like just sold only, I usually do like the testimonial and then a picture in front of the house. And I give like the story of how they got there, whether it was like a single party or months of house hunting or whatever it was. And I kind of bring it into like a reality and not just a number. So I tend to get like more interaction with those. And then I get a lot of interaction on my stories. My niche market loves stories, and that's where they're paying more attention, I feel like. So I get a lot more interaction and like messaging back and forth on stories and polls. They really like when I do like the question boxes, or the like 4 different options of things. And it could be related to anything, but I just get so much more interaction on my stories than posts.
Okay, great. Go back to AJ. Anything else besides the coming soons? And I really like the example that you gave with like the Mother's Day post. Is there anything else
Yeah.
that you've done that you've gotten a lot of engagement on?
A couple things that we've done that we've seen more engagement on is we do like a post kind of outlining like where all like the county fairs are. And I think like that is like a big thing that we get a lot of engagement on, because then people they can just like, they almost come to our page because it's all in one place and they're not looking different places. So that's one thing we've kind of played around with a little bit. And then we also do like a contractor of the month. So every month we pick a contractor and we outline kind of their business, what they do, like the relationship they have with us. And then that way it just kind of provides an extra like line of, just kind of gives them like another resource to use. That's something that they could go back to if they want to remodel a bathroom. They come back and they're like, well, they worked with this lender, they did good work. And it highlights the community and kind of gets you engaged with local businesses, kind of that networking aspect. So I think that's another thing that we do that kind of benefits our network as a company, but also just kind of for the community as well.
Yeah, for sure. Love that. Love the idea of highlighting like other local people. I mean, I think it is a great opportunity for you to kind of set yourself apart and really showcase that you are a local expert and that you're supporting other local, whether it's a contractor or other local businesses. Bridget, how about you?
So when I was starting out and I had a lot of time on my hands because I had like no clients and nothing going on, I would actually find like really cool luxury listings, and I would reach out to the agent and ask if I could preview their listing for any potential buyers I might have. I would always make sure it was like a vacant one that I wouldn't be like disturbing the seller. And then I'd go and I would ask the agent if it would be okay if I shared their listing with my network. And I called it Cribs with Bridge, and I put little Insta stories to music, and it was always like really cool homes. And I would get so much engagement, people, replying like, where is this? And then I'd see like my friends in person and they'd be like, you are just always in the most amazing homes. And like, they don't know that I'm all alone in there and that I like did all this to get there. But like they just started to associate Bridget, Cribs with Bridge. Bridget's always in cool homes. Bridget knows what fun homes are out there. But then I also would find like really crummy homes sometimes too, because that's fun for people to see, like investment properties, and like put that to kind of funny music as well. So many replies. You always, on like the nicer listings, I wouldn't like give all the information away, and people would be like, where is this? Like my parents are looking, or this or that. And it always kind of started the conversation. Also one time, I don't do a ton of like talking to the camera, but I decided to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And I was saying, hey, you might have heard a little bit about this market. Right now we're seeing sight unseen offers on a home. And then I had like a poll that said like, would you ever write an offer on a home you hadn't seen? And like, yes or no. And that got a ton of engagement. And what I love to see is like, who is voting on these things? Oh, wow. I didn't even know like Bob was following my page, but like he just voted. Or, I think a real quick thing is just, I know you guys were mentioning that, action is better than inaction. Like, don't overthink it, because one time I like wasn't sure if I was going to post about this house that sold or whatever. And then you see like some stranger at the grocery store who's like, I saw that house, like, wow, congratulations. And I think you'll never realize how many people you're reaching on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it is, like for me, I don't know if a lot of my friends are on TikTok, so I don't try to become a TikTok person. Like my people are more on the Instagram and LinkedIn. So stick to like where your niche and market is, you know, I don't know how to do Twitter, but maybe I should get into that, you know? But I just kind of like want to stick to what I know.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So I want to kind of shift into more of what your process is when it comes to social media. How do you brainstorm content, and how do you create a content calendar? Do you post about certain things or certain topics on specific days? How do you go about your week and say, okay, these are the things I'm going to be posting about? Or do you kind of just, freestyle it? That day you just happen to think of something to post. AJ, I'm going to start with you on this question.
Yeah, so I have put together a post kind of calendar for each month, kind of just the basic posts that we have. Obviously, like if we have a listing going live, we add those into there. But I think a majority of what I do is kind of just freestyle and what I'm feeling that day. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's if I'm out at a showing and there's something cool, like I might take a picture, or if we like, I think last week, Friday, it was Teacher Appreciation Week at my old high school. So we bought lunch, took it there, and kind of had lunch for all the teachers. And that was something that we kind of posted about. So I think it's kind of I think you can have a set calendar for some posts. But I also think it's good, especially when it comes to personal posts and kind of cool things you're seeing, to just kind of go off of whatever might be happening that day. Or we had an open house and it was like a snowstorm. So we took a picture of us shoveling the driveway for our client and put that out there. So I think it's good to have, a calendar, just because then you can schedule things and you can schedule a poll in advance, or so you're not sitting down every week, constantly worrying about getting posts out all the time. But I also think it's good to kind of just go off of what's happening that day and what might be cool.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Jessica, how about you?
So I'm a member of Modern Agent Social Club, and that provides me with content to utilize on my page. And essentially each month they provide us with a bunch of content, like a whole calendar's worth. And it can range from personal posts to home decor and interior posts, and then a real estate post. And then I basically go through that. I try to do it in the beginning of the month, but I've been slacking lately. But as soon as I get it, I usually go through it. I put it comes in like a Canva format. I brand it to all of my colors, my fonts, plug my pictures in, reword it so it makes sense for me and for my market. And it's really usually a great guide. It's a good guideline. I don't use every post that we get. I use what applies to me in my daily life. So I don't schedule them. I'll just prep them, make it make sense for me. And then as things come up, or, as the days go by, if I feel like this applies to me right now, I'll post it. And I just kind of do it that way because I don't like to post and ghost. So I like to interact before and after I post anything. And I feel like if I'm scheduling it, I'm not going to be interacting.
All right. What about Christy?
Yeah, I also am. Back in the winter time, I was really great about scheduling stuff. And now I just sometimes it's the first thing to go. So I think I'm a little bit more organic about it. I do try to be disciplined about weekend, beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week, something has to be happening, so that's always kind of in the back of my head. But yeah, no, I don't have any specific schedule or anything like that. I also agree with Jessica that sometimes if it is scheduled, like if I was able to get something as far as a listing or, an accepted offer that I had scheduled out, then I hop on the next day and it's oh, somebody had said something about it and now I didn't engage, and so I definitely too want to stay on top of, if there is engagement going on, I want to have the person feel like I'm there and able to engage.
Yeah, for sure. And Bridget.
I'm a little, yeah, willy-nilly. I gotta get better. So that's a goal of mine for sure.
Yeah, and I think from just generally what everyone is saying is that most people kind of, go about their day, and I'm sure like every day in the life of a real estate agent is different. And so you're going to encounter, different things at different showings or at an open house or anything like that, or something you learn at team meeting and then you want to share it that day. So it sounds like a lot of you kind of just freestyle a lot of it, but maybe have some backup content available to post if need be. That's awesome. Kathleen, I just want to make sure that I'm not just like hogging the
Oh no, this is great. I'm learning
questions.
so much.
But is there, Kathleen, did you have any questions kind of based on what we've learned so far?
Well, I think a couple of you have touched on this, but like how are you really like responding and engaging to the people that are liking and commenting and sharing your posts? Like, what are you doing to make sure that like that engagement's really there? Jessica.
So I, before I post, I go ahead and I like all of the posts, the comments on my previous post. So I'll go heart them. That just brings me to like the top of their little newsfeed thing. And then anytime somebody comments on my post, I try to respond to the comment fairly quickly. And that also just keeps me engaged with them. And then I also will go ahead and click on people who are interacting on my page or local businesses, just anybody who's in my stories. I'll click on their posts. I'll interact with a few of their posts on their page before or after I post mine, and just keep that. Instagram, when they see that interaction, they will bump you up into their newsfeed and their stories. So I try to do it purposefully and interact with people so that I just come back to the top of their feed again, and then that'll encourage them to continue interacting with me in return.
Bridget, what are you doing?
Yeah, I try to just be very like thoughtful and intentional with all of my responses to everyone and show them how much I appreciate them, sharing or thinking of me, or, I'm constantly thanking everyone for like their support, whether it be in a quick Facebook message, like, thank you so much. Maybe a handwritten note to someone who just like is always pumping me up, because those are kind of your biggest fans, and they just need to know that you like really do appreciate them. So that's something I try to do.
And then AJ, how are you and your team engaging the people that are commenting and sharing your posts?
So I think one of the biggest things that I try to do, and I have to get better at it, is just going through kind of the news feed of the people that we follow on our business page. And just if we see another realtor that's, has an accepted offer or something along those lines, then we go ahead and comment on that as congratulations, or, hearting that post or something. And then a lot of the people who comment on our posts, we try to go through and if they have a question or they loved it, or they said congratulations or something along those sorts, we try to go through and obviously react and kind of interact with that comment, just so that we're still engaging with the people rather than just posting and then never doing anything under people who comment for us. But I think a lot of the biggest things that we try to do is engaging with other realtors' posts and like title companies and a couple personal people that we follow on that page, just so that we're celebrating their successes, and it's just good for everyone as far as algorithms and stuff like that, if you're kind of engaging with other people.
Yeah, no, it's good. And then Christy, how are you engaging with people?
I pretty much follow what Jessica does as well, where I like anybody that comments. I always reply to anybody that comments. I try then, if I have somebody that's commenting, to go on to their page and interact, with them as well. So that's just kind of my hard rule of thumb, is just to not let anybody who took the time to make a comment, like, just go unnoticed, And then I saw in the chat that they were asking about how much of our business comes solely from social media. Like I said, a little bit earlier, if somebody new is kind of jumping on, for me personally, I really started to be more disciplined about this within like a year. So I'm really using it more as a tool to stay top of mind for the sphere that I already have. And then, as I draw people in, that's wonderful. But for now, for me, just at the stage where I'm at with it, I'm really using it more as, like I said, a tool to engage with the sphere that I already have.
And then we also have another question in the chat about, if you just started on TikTok or Instagram, who do you follow? Like, how do you get followers? Like, pretend I just created my Instagram account yesterday, Jessica, and tell me, how do I get 7 leads from it?
So what I did is I figured out what my niche market was, which tends to be young families and like women business owners. I realized I really like to support other female-owned businesses and just other local businesses. So I literally just went on and started following all of them. And then I looked at people that followed their pages and interacted with them as well and followed them because I know we have similar interests. So we're looking at the same things. And just by doing that, starting to chat with them, they started all following me back, and it just kind of snowballs. I still continue to do that. I did some like giveaways I do them once in a while with like another local business. That really helps bring in like-minded individuals that would connect with me and like want to work with me. And I think that's like the best way to grow organically is to follow and communicate with people that you think would want to follow you and that you have a lot in common with.
And then Christy, I just created my TikTok account. How the heck do I get people to follow me?
It's exactly the same thing. All of these ideas kind of work cross-platform. I just started to, obviously I use hashtags and stuff on TikTok, but it was just starting to follow other people and kind of chasing that rabbit hole of like, oh, well, who follows this person? They're probably interested in a similar thing. And then you go there and you start to like and comment, and then they start to see, oh, this person is a real, and they follow you back. And it's just kind of the same. I feel like on almost any, especially Instagram and TikTok, I feel like I have a very similar kind of algorithm that, if you do that, it will grow. And I mean, I had 2 friends on TikTok. Like when I started, it was like my sister and my other sister is a librarian at a library. And those were like my 2. But it does grow really organically if you kind of just take even, 3 to 5 minutes out of your day every day and just kind of start to poke around and like and comment on other people's things, and it will grow.
Yeah. And then AJ, I want to talk to you specifically because your team is doing some pretty unique things out there. Can you talk about what is like the TV show that you guys have and how did that all start? And then like, I also want to know about all the like small business networking that you guys are doing out there.
Yeah, so we're on it's called American Dream TV Selling Wisconsin. So I think it's every other month we shoot a segment. I think it's a 15 or it's a 10 or 15 minute segment for a TV show. And normally what that episode looks like is we find a local business in the area and we kind of highlight their business, what they do. So recently, last week, we had a shoot for it, and we did, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Board Together in Muskego, but we went there and kind of highlighted their business, their ice cream business as well. I know they're rebranding too. A little bit. So we kind of highlighted that Board Together part of it, a little bit of the ice cream part as well. And then we try to find a listing that either we have sold in the past or a listing coming up. So we have a farmhouse that's coming up. It's beautiful. And we went to that and we shot a segment kind of highlighting that segment of, that house and all the updates and everything. So that's one way that we kind of connect with local businesses. and we help their business, because obviously it could, it's on TV. So we help grow their business through this show. And then we kind of highlight, the success that we've had as a team with the listings and such that we have coming up. But then I think that you kind of form those relationships with these local businesses. So we did that, and then we kind of partnered with them for our Mother's Day giveaway. So it was a $25 gift card that we partnered with them with, and then we tag them, and then they share ours. So now we're reaching kind of our audience, but also their audience, and we kind of form those relationships with those businesses, because obviously they have their connections and kind of their group of people, and obviously we have ours. So I think kind of highlighting and helping grow those local businesses, as well as kind of highlighting what you're doing, forms a lot of good connections and kind of get your name out there.
Yeah, what I want everybody to hear is that, like, although the Schmidt Group is part of like this American Dream TV show, and so they have a platform to put these videos out on specifically, other than their social media, you can still do the same thing on your own social media accounts. You can go and take 2 to 3 minute videos at a local business and, throw a couple of interview questions with the owner and highlight their business, and then tag them and have them share it. And all of a sudden their followers start to become your followers, right? So I want you to hear, like, and follow their page and see what those videos are like and watch them. And then, like, think about how you can do that on your own pages as well, because I think we talk about real estate being a relationship business, right? And your relationships in your communities and with your local businesses is just as important as the relationship with your followers. And people sit around at the coffee shop and the barista overhears, yeah, we're thinking about moving to the area. Oh, hey, by the way, do you have a realtor yet? Because I know a really great gal who supports me and supports my business and, plugs on my social media as well. Right? That's what I want you to hear from what the Schmidt Group is doing. And Christy, your team, the Klasky's team, has done some similar things in the past, right?
Yes, we have gone to local businesses to highlight them. Christy Klasky also does, I'm going to always say it wrong, quick tips at Quick Trip, where she'll pull into a Quick Trip and like give you a quick tip. So that's kind of a little catchy thing too. But yeah, I mean, I think partnering with local businesses is huge.
I feel like Christy's always at a Quick Trip.
Always at Quick Trip.
I wanted to also ask Bridget the question about if have you calculated like the percentage of how many deals you've done through social media?
I have not, but I definitely would say that it is like the source of the success that I have had, because all of my business comes from my sphere, and my sphere is following me on Instagram, and just based on like the people direct messaging me there, and having that be like my main spot to stay in front of my sphere, that I would have to guess that almost all of my business is because of the social media. So I do think that you just always have to remember that, if you're doing it, I don't know if like the words like a tasteful way, or, that you're adding value with whatever the post is, and that you're not always asking if anyone knows anyone looking to buy or sell, or you're not always like blatantly reminding people I'm a realtor, send people my way kind of thing. Because I think that can turn people off. So I just always try to use it to remind people I'm a realtor. Like I said, with like the fun videos, the funny videos, that kind of thing, instead of constantly like, I sold a home or I need business. Like, who do you know?
Yeah. And that's just another general theme that I think everyone is talking about, is that you are providing value, whether it's promoting a local business and just keeping people informed about their communities, even if it's just entertainment. I mean, just showing, maybe an investment property that has, a toilet out in the open in the basement, just like that's what people want to see when they go on social media is they want to be entertained. And a lot of people are interested in homes, whether it's a luxury home or it's an investment property and it's something unique. But keep that word value in mind when you're posting something and say like, okay, is this providing value to my followers? Like, is this something that as I'm scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, is this something I would stop and look at? Because I think that's also going to tell you who your niche market is too. Okay, so I wanted to kind of open it up to everyone else on the Zoom and see if anyone else has questions for this group. Does anyone have any questions that we haven't gone over? Feel free to unmute and ask away, or if you want to throw it in the chat.
I would also just maybe go around the horn once more and just give me the one like little trick that you know about using your social media platform that like if I had known this a year ago when I had started this, it would have saved me so much time and effort, or like I would have gotten so much more engagement had I known to do this. Like, what is the one little tip that everybody needs to know about whatever platform you're using? I'll give you guys a second to think about it.
I was pretty blown away with LinkedIn. I know I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, but it doesn't have to be anything that you have to overthink. Like I've tried to make it a point now that every week I go on LinkedIn and I just throw any random poll. Would you buy a house with a pool? Yes, no, it just little things. Like I never thought about doing polls on LinkedIn. I was so focused on Instagram and Facebook. So I would say start connecting people. I feel like LinkedIn is also one of those tools where you can like connect with strangers and people don't think twice about it. Whereas Facebook and Instagram, people might be like, wait, who are you that's adding me as my friend? But on LinkedIn, you can truly just like connect, post. LinkedIn shows your post to anyone really, doesn't have to be your connection. So that I think to me was a big eye opener.
Any other little tips or tricks?
I think one thing that we started doing recently that we've seen a lot of engagement on is when we have a new listing, and I guess just solely for listings, but when we have a new listing, we put it in Facebook groups and on Facebook Marketplace. And sometimes it's hit or miss because you get the people who hit the "is it still available" button or something along those. So a lot of it can be kind of hit or miss, but we have noticed that when we do that, we have booked a few showings from it, and we get a lot of people who are reaching out, kind of asking more questions and just engaging with like us a little more. So that's kind of one thing that we do that I don't know if a lot of other people do. But we've seen a lot of people reach out just either wanting more details or wanting a tour or something like that. But it just kind of gets us in front of more people and having more of those conversations.
And you're referencing like all those buy-sell trade groups that are out there in the communities.
Yeah. I don't personally do it. But one of our team members, she puts it out. I think it just goes on Facebook Marketplace, and I think it automatically goes to all of the groups that kind of she's joined. But yeah, we've seen a lot of engagement with that.
Cool.
I do something similar actually, and I've also gotten a bunch of engagement, but I started going into the videos of the homes I'm listing and actually like talking in those videos, and that I'll share it also to like the local groups of the area that it's listed. So like Oak Creek Community Group or whatever. Most have actually been in Oak Creek so far. And then I also will share it to Nextdoor. And if you're not familiar with that, it's like a neighborhood Facebook. I don't know what it is. It's a neighborhood
within Command. If anyone is sending out the monthly neighborhood nurture, that's the Nextdoor information.
Yeah, so I'll post it on Nextdoor, and I won't get a ton of comments, but I've been living in my neighborhood for almost 11 years. And in 2020, like 6 houses sold and none of them used me, and it really bothered me. And since I started like integrating myself into those videos, my neighbors have started actually noticing me and referring people to me, which is so odd, but it works. So try that too. And then for Instagram, I would say you should look at your insights. That's been super helpful for me in the past to see when your followers are active so that you can interact and be active when they are, post when they are, and you can kind of see also where they live, like their age groups, and really kind of narrow down who's paying attention to you.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't even know you could do that with Instagram. Look at your insights. Is that just for business pages or is that personal too?
No, it's not for personal. It's for business or creator pages. So you do have to convert over if you're using a personal page, but you can just make it a creator page, and then you can kind of see who's engaging. You can see like your top posts that are getting the most interaction, the most shares. You can see like the top videos, the top stories that are getting the most views, and then it kind of just helps you figure out what.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really good tip. Christy, anything in regards to like the best like tips that you can give out, or anything that you've learned that you think is just like, okay, if I knew this a year ago, that would have helped me so much?
Right. I mean, I think kind of just to reiterate what I had said earlier is that it's doing it. It's just, and somebody else had mentioned overthinking it. Like, don't overthink it, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there and make it something personal that isn't just a regurgitate, take somebody else's content and put it out as your own. It's not going to get the same level of engagement as putting yourself out there in some way. And you know what? If you're not somebody's particular cup of tea, like that's okay. Like there's room for everybody to, you don't have to, I guess, just kind of maybe getting over yourself or getting over the fear of putting yourself out there because, maybe I don't look great that day, or maybe whatever it is, it's just kind of getting over yourself and just creating. It is a relationship business, and people want to kind of see that actual side of you and not just the fake you, but what your life is really like, and the way you really are. That's what people want to see. And I think if you try to hide that too much or try to be someone that you're not, people are smart, they pick up on that, and they're not going to feel like they really know you. So I think that is the most important thing, and the hardest thing is just doing it, just ripping off the band-aid and setting, put a goal in your mind for how many times a week you're going to do it, and then kind of just do your best to stick to it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anyone else have questions for these guys? All right. Well, I think we're almost at the 1 hour mark. So yeah, I think a lot of great content. Thank you guys for sharing, Christy, AJ, Bridget, Jessica. Really appreciate your insights and kind of learning more about what you're doing and what's working. But I think that's all we got for everything today. But thanks again. Thanks for everyone for joining us. And you can always check this out on YouTube.